welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club categories. With 4 race starts, we're going to start with our category 4 riders, then 3, 2 and 1. You can see our riders lined up in yellow, that is our category 1 riders, in green our category 2, in blue category 3 and category 4 riders. Currently, essentially, there are 5 minutes between being led out by Maria Marin, who we're in with at the moment. The question will be, can this group work together? Will they work together, or will they blow apart under the pressure of chasing our categories who set off in front?
A group of, I'm just going to take a look at this, a big group of riders going through there in that category 1 pack.
Which is incredibly difficult to do. I tell you something, I don't envy the team who have to work out the times, and I don't have to envy the riders having to chase down the gaps as well. Now, Angie Para currently up the road by about 12 seconds on this big chasing group of riders. Will anybody be able to go over the line close to anybody else? Because you can see everybody wants this Bauer now on the front, stretching it out. It's only a slight gradient, but looks to me like Berio Serna right in the mix now. Cinelli starts to push up on to the front, so Elena Cinelli on the front. The question is going to be, what is the gap back behind this leading group? I think it is going to really have opened out left in front of our category 1 chasers that closed down. Cinelli at 8 seconds, Olsen at 9, as is Serna, as is going to be our leader, as well as Olsen. And Padani is being caught back as well. It's going to come down to these last few meters because they are trying to close in. Brogan and Ortiz, I don't think are going to make. This is where we see what she's wearing. It's got another response coming, but I don't think it's enough. Look at the pace of Sylvia Larry Oliveira. So hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It's our monthly race final for December the 25th. And if you're just joining us for the women's race, Merry Christmas if you are observing that. And hopefully Santa brought you what you wanted. If you're just enjoying the holidays, then I hope you're ready for some really interesting race action, because we've got a cracking course. And as you saw on our rewind, our riders setting off in 4 different race starts, which is going to test the riders, particularly given the course we have. With me in the studio is Emma Martin. Emma, great action on the qualifiers, great action in our preceding men's race, and we're on Wollongong, which we know is brutal.
Yeah, it is indeed. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world today. It's great to be with you on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. Today's Women's Challenge. We are in Australia for the final in the Wollongong route. So this route, 35 kilometres, 503 metres of climbing, 2 category 4 climbs today, 2.4 kilometres in length, with an average gradient of 4.5%, but that is so deceptive. It is a double climb of Mount Pleasant today, so you go up, you come down, then you go up the main segment, and gradients will go and top 16, 17% in places. So really steep and a really constantly rolling route today.
So we're going to move straight into our category 4. We're on 30 seconds to go. So the riders in category 4, the Fire Girls team, the Clover team, this is going to be who's going to take away top spot. Team prizes today as well as individual prizes. Our riders ready to go with 12 seconds to go.
So, so we have 9 riders in this category today, 2 teams, and I don't know whether one can beat the Fire Girls today. So as the power goes down, as the go, go, go takes place, these riders are off on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club December finals today. We're in with Fernanda as they push on and take to the course.
So great riding by our riders going to be needed today to take this out. We've got some fantastic riders in here. Georgina Hyde, we've got Ella Vink in here, Luisa Fernandez, Geraldo Daggio. I mean, it really is a who's who of racing in category 4, because of course our riders have to qualify with their 2 qualifying rides, and to do so, generally most riders really mean business, and it could be very interesting to see how these riders approach this, whether they go with staying clear for as long as possible, whether they ride tactically, because they know that they're going to be chased behind.
Yeah, and throughout December, Matt, we have seen different riders take the win in the Category 4 race. So from Vink, from Fernanda, from Tandingen, three different race winners on the qualifying races, and Fernanda was the one who took the Category 4 final in November. So really a very, very competitive field. And we can see on this start day as they move through this first kilometre, the whole of the race field is in one group. So 9 riders today riding strongly together and forming a strong peloton as they take off from that start line and move into the parcours.
And it is a flat start relative to the rest of the course, and we'll bring you those more course details as we make our way out and around. Essentially, though, we have 2 full laps plus a little bit on the end, so it really is an interesting way that these riders need to approach this, because this is effectively the rerun. This is the extra little bit from the start line to the finish line. If you've been watching any of the cyclocross coverage that's out there, you'll know that the start has generally a long start straight before you go underneath the finish banner and out onto your first lap proper. It's the same here. There's a shorter section between our start line and where our finish line is, which is what our riders are on. So they get a little bit of a dress rehearsal before they go out onto the course properly. And when they hit the finishing line, that is the point at which they then know they've got 2 laps to go.
Yeah, they do indeed. So 2 full laps of the Wollongong City route today, and then 2.3k to that finish line that Matt is talking about. And it's not a flat finish line. They do the flat start, which they have done already, and then they start to go up, and it is a little steep climb to that finish line.
And that's where you can see the riders on the right-hand side of your screen. The only riders racing at the moment and getting that head start, it's our Category 4 riders. They're on that steep section of climb. They'll go around the left-hand bend, and you'll see that yellow gantry that indicates the finishing line as they come around to the end of the race. And that is the critical moment. You can just about see it peeking out, but it is a really technical finish here as Georgina Hyde pushes on. She is going to be the first of those riders. She'll be just about able to see it, but she's got a gap on the rest of the riders. So Hyde heads out to go start her lap proper. We're in with our Category 3 riders. And again, really nice, strong race field here with some great teams. We've got the Pink Power team, Lioness team, and the Climber Girls team.
Yeah, we do indeed. So 11 riders on the race start sheets today, those 3 teams. And Matt, I'm not sure what you think, but if anybody can beat the Climber Girls today, well done to them.
Well, indeed. I mean, it's in the name. Climber Girls, and just as importantly, or probably more importantly, they are proven race riders. So they have 1 minute 13 on the clock. And this route, I think, will suit those riders in the Climber Girls. What they are able to see, though, because a lot of the riders will be watching live, thank you very much if you do, they will be able to see the gap opening up between themselves and Category 4 riders, which are on the right-hand side of the screen. Because as that clock ticks down to the start time, you can see the leaders in Category 4 have already covered over 2.2k, and it keeps on moving as you would expect. And they know that this head start is going to be tricky to pull back to take that overall race win, which is what everybody wants, and it's not impossible to be done. And that is the key thing. This is all down to how it's ridden, but the prizes are for those individual riders.
They are indeed. And our winner from the November final, Cerna, doesn't look as though she's on the start sheets today, but Lopez and Barco, who finished 2nd and 3rd, are.
And they are going to be the riders we are going to be watching. So the countdown is on. Let's see how they get off from the start line. So here on the Sunday Race Club on MyWhoosh, it's our Category 3 race start. Our riders are away. This kick critical to getting out in the bunch. Get distance now, and you're going to be left chasing for 35 kilometers. But at the moment, it looks like Jasper Nicola Lustri is looking to make life hard for everybody. She's gone out of the blocks at a phenomenal power, and that is going to make life very difficult for the riders behind. They are going to need to get themselves together. They will not want to let her go because she is a real risk when it comes to taking the overall victory at the end of the race.
Wow, what a sign of intention from Illustri today, as Lopez and Quintero and the Ribaudo, the other riders in this pack, slowly pulling back, not responding to that high power, and not burning that first match of the race today to catch her back.
Well, I mean, it's an interesting tactic because it could be that you want to rip the race. So it could be that you just go, do you know what? I'm feeling so strong on the ride off. It could well be that it's just got so wound up at the start. And we've all done it. And you go off a little bit too quick and you're left going, oops. What do I do now? I can't back off completely because that's going to look like I made a mistake. But every time they're chasing, they're still working.
And what you have to remember, Matt, is this is only the second week of our new start format. Previously, riders started in one large pack, Category 1, Category 2, Category 3, Category 4. And our Category 3 riders needed a massive kick on the line to enable them to go out and stay in that lead group for as long as possible. So Illustria just showing that she still has that kick, but perhaps doesn't quite need it so much with an individual category start.
Definitely not. And as you can see on your screens, our leader in Category 4, right-hand side, Category 3, leaders left-hand side. The distance between them is about 2.5 kilometres, which is about par for the course at the moment. That seems to be the gap that 3 to 4 are getting, both in our men's and women's categories, and pretty much both weeks so far in these split starts. However, Georgina Hyde, again, a statement of intent from her. We saw her on the climb. She put in a little bit of a dig. She stretched it out. She opened up the gap. She is being pulled back, but it's doing damage because the riders are on the climb again, now on a 5.5% climb, and you can see the gaps opening. And it is dangerous because, to be perfectly honest, at this early stage, I would want strength in numbers. I wouldn't want to be trying to time trial to the finish, and that is the danger of making this group too small too soon.
It is indeed, and but the challenge here, Matt, is other than that first around 1 kilometre, this is a rolling course. There is no flat other than through that start section, so it is constantly up or constantly down, and the gradient is continually changing. That is difficult to keep a large pack together unless it's an exceptionally strong and well-balanced pack. And the numbers of riders, only 9 riders taken to the start line in Category 4 today, so much harder for them to keep that pack of 9 together than it is, for example, in our Category 1 race, where we see 29 riders on the start sheets today.
So we are going to be moving across to our next race start. Our Category 2 riders, 3 and 4 already up the road. But in Category 2, some very, very strong teams. Team RT Cycle Zone Ladies, number 1, the Golden Light team, and our Tri-Women team. 3 of those teams of what are a strong team. The Whooshers team, Strong Women, and Magic Wheels, all in the mix. And to be brutally honest, Emma, it's very hard sometimes to pick who's going to get this. Personally, I would be putting my money either on the Tri-Women squad or the Strong Women squad. A bit of a difficult one on this course. Probably have to jump with the Tri-Women, but not 100% certain on that one.
Yeah, it is indeed a difficult course to call for these women today, and some really good riders as well in Magic Wheels, Matt. So 18 riders on the start sheets today, those 6 teams, and again, highly competitive team competition in this Category 2 race today I'm looking out for.
So you can see on the bottom of your screen, our riders in Category 3 and 4 continuing to push on. 1 and 2 awaiting their start. We're heading into the last 30 or so seconds for Category 2. They are the riders in the green jerseys, top right-hand side of your screen. They're getting ready to leave that start gate. So this is the countdown. This is the critical moment. This is when they need to get their timing right to be clipped in and all ready to go.
So our Category 2 women are pedalling and winding up slowly as they wait for those seconds to tick down for that start today. So here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, Category 2 are about to be underway in this women's race. This is the final of the Sunday Race Club, and the Category 2 women are away. We're in with Lantari. The power is high. The riders are pushing. They're taking the lefts. They're taking the right. They're pushing onto the course, and they are underway for the final today.
Well, look at this. Angie Parra once again doing what she did last time. Last race, she went up the road. I think she's got a tactic in her mind that she wants to make this hard from the word go. But look at this, that bunch are very, very wise to this. And Tajeris, Pardani, Chinelli, Kekkonen, Hadlock, Hermansen, right on her heels. This, I think, is going to be a very brutal category to be in. I think category 2, often one of the hardest categories. Everybody gives it absolutely everything in whatever category they're in. But I think category 2 really has a very close knit group of riders in terms of their ability. They are very, very close together. And that means it's much harder to shed riders. They're very, very similar in terms of their pace and power. It's a narrower band, and that means it is really, really hard to be in that race.
Yeah, I don't disagree, Matt. We've got some absolutely class riders in this category 2 women's field, and riders who are very, very similar, not just in terms of power, but also in terms of tactics and ability and their ability to stay together. We very often see a group of 8 or 9 category 2 riders at the front of the race field until very, very late on. And often, as we saw throughout November, a sprint finish, sometimes with up to 11 category 2 riders in it in the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club women's race field. Very, very difficult to call, but it's going to be really interesting today on the Wollongong course. So category 2 in November, it was Jenny Sanchez who took the win from Olsen, from Lanteri, from Pardini and from Carmona. Now, Jenny Sanchez, I am just doing a double check, is in this field because it is Julie Sanchez that has been promoted to category 1. I'd have to get it right. There were three Sanchez women in the category 2 race throughout November, and we saw Julie promoted.
Well, there we go. One of the Jay Sanchez is going up into category 1. Our second Jay Sanchez, that's Jenny Sanchez, we're watching on our screens in the green. Jasper Nicola Lustri in the blue, and Luisa Fernanda in the red as they make their way around the circuit. The riders in category 2, our latest starters, have made their way up on to the first of the climb. You can see the numbers in red on the top right-hand side of their screen. The rest of the riders also on a climb, with the exception, of course, of our category 1 race field. There are elite riders. They're the riders who get the unenviable task of chasing everybody down. And we're in with one of those really aggressive and very fast riders, Rosario Estrada, who will be hitting that start line very shortly indeed. And the teams in category 1. I mean, we talk about teams in categories in the rest. We got some real power teams here. Rocket Winner, Rocket Power, Spartan Obstacles, Crank Sisters. With Spartan Obstacles, one of our very, very strong teams, if not the strongest ever. We have the Fusion Squad who are coming in to challenge Las Colombianas, who are great when it goes uphill, and Tomorrow Cycling as well.
Yeah, and I wouldn't discount Tomorrow Cycling. Maria Marin in there, Maria Ortez in there, Rosaria Estrada in there, some really strong riders. But Crank Sisters have got to be the one to watch today. So 29 riders in our category 1 start sheets today and 7 teams. It's going to be a really, really great category 1 women's race today.
And when we go through the riders in category 1, I mean, we've got great athletes in 4, 3, 2, and 1, but 1 is so strong. I mean, people like we did mention there on the Tomorrow Cycling team, Roccoio, who won, Amaro, who's taken sprint wins. We've got riders Moreno in Las Colombianas, Sanchez in there as well. You got Jessica Menendez, who's getting very, very strong. I mean, think of Spartan Obstacles, people like Gemma Brogan, Cavado.
Yeah.
It is a who's who. So here we go. Now, riders with 20 seconds to go to their race start in category 1. So here on the Sunday Race Club, our final category to go. In our December finals, it is going to be category 1 women. Who is going to take this on? Who will walk away with our immense prize fund of our winning riders, as well, of course, as our team prizes? We're watching Mario De Rocchio head out from the start. Can she land the knockout punch? Well, we will see. They're away. All of our riders racing on our December qualifier. Sorry, our December final after our qualifiers.
Yeah, indeed. It has been a fast and frantic December set of racing, and we are here for the final today. We've had a number of different winners in this Category 1 women's race throughout our qualifiers, from Marin to Bauer to Ortiz. So 3 different winners, and Gemma Brogan has been on form as well. We've seen some amazing attacking by Bauer, Brogan, Manshandi. These women have been racing fast and furious throughout December. It's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out.
So our Category 1 riders with 38 riders in front of them on the course as they hit the course proper, and they are in categories 2, 3 and 4. So here on the Sunday Race Club on MyWhoosh, our race leaders at the moment are our Category 4 riders at 8.5k covered, 6k covered for Category 3, 4k nearly covered as our Category 2 approached that point very quickly, and our Category 1 riders just approaching their 1k to go category marker at the moment. That means that these riders are at the moment spread over what is nearly 8 kilometers of road in Wollongong in Australia, and that is a long way round this course because our leaders, category number 4, are fast approaching the first of the climbs. Meanwhile, the leaders in category 1 are sweeping around the left, then into the right-hand bend, which is the very first climb out on circuit.
Yeah, as we're in with Manshandi, and Manshandi is part and parcel of this lead pack. They are moving really quickly as the gradient is currently just over 1% and still 35 kph, 38 kph coming out of this pack. This large group of riders are pushing on and pushing on well, and the pace is staying high.
Now, time to have a little look and see who's got some power today. It is Julie Sanchez, that rider who has been promoted from Category 2, who is on the move at the front, putting down enough power, I think, to stay out of trouble. Does not want distancing on climb number 1, but may well be going for an early attack to try and break this group up. May well not want to take a lot of riders around because, remember, on our women's race, this is a dress rehearsal for the finish. Up that little bit of a kicker of a climb and underneath this yellow gantry. So our riders, when they hit this line here, they know they have 2 full laps to go at this point. So it's 2 full laps and 2.5k. This is now 2 laps to go as they hit the line. And at the moment, we're seeing a little bit of a response here because it looks to me like Jojo Bauer is trying to go across to Sanchez. So Sanchez could well get some company. Bauer went quite hard there to try and go off the front, but I don't think she's done enough to break clear of the bunch. They are just hovering behind, working out who's going to go. But if Bauer and Sanchez, maybe one other rider, got together, that would be very dangerous indeed.
Well, I think that group have just snowballed down that climb and come over the top of both Bauer and Sanchez, because it's a very, very early, less than 2k into the ride, to break clear of this group of Category 1 women. It's a competitive field, and I can't imagine anyone is going to get away that early.
Well, it would be an impressive ride to solo 2 laps of this circuit because it is so fast on the descents. And I think also the start, although it is rolling, which does make it a little bit harder for the group, it is not just straight into a pure climb. We have seen this in Colombia, one of our many worlds on MyWhoosh, and the Colombian circuit when we used it. I say a circuit, it was a hill climb. It went up, it leveled, and then it went again. It was a really tough day. It's one of those days as a bike rider I used to absolutely hate because basically it just kept on going and you knew you weren't over and done with till you reached the very top. Today, we have Mount Pleasant twice, but we have a lot of climbing in between, and that is going to take its toll on the riders. Now, in with our leaders, we're in category 3, hitting that 8k mark.
Yeah, they are hitting that 8k mark. Let's remember that the bottom of Mount Pleasant, which is our climb today, is at 9.7 kilometres. So still some way to travel for these women. And that last around 2 kilometres into the base of that climb is overall downhill. As we see Barco push to the front there, Ribaldo just following through, Illustra then, Lopez, Cabanata. These women are pushing on, but this group is now being stretched a little by Barco off the front. as Illustra just comes past. These women really want to push on a little bit and not necessarily take such a large group into the bottom of that climb.
Well, up in front, the riders that they are chasing are the riders in the red jerseys of category number 4. And now up on your screen, who are onto the climb. They're on the 10% section here. And this is brutal here because you can see Georgina Hyde, Ella Daggio as well, all continue to push here.
Yeah, and Fernanda had a problem. Fernanda just had a problem now. I don't know whether she slipped a chain, lost a pedal, dropped her iPad, or had a technical internet drop out there. But Fernanda, who has indeed been often in the top 3 in that category 4 race this month, has had a technical problem early on that climb. Now, that may well be a very difficult thing for her to come back from on that climb today.
And a bit like when you have an issue when you're out and riding, how you respond to that can be absolutely critical. So Fernanda continues to push up and over. You can see on the right-hand side of the screen, she recovered from that quickly, but that will have cost her some effort. It will have come at a price.
It will, but all credit to her from recovering from whatever just took place there, where her watts hit 0 for a short period of time. She's responded, she hasn't panicked, and she's back in the group.
And getting the equipment right is just as important on an esports discipline as it is in any other sporting discipline, because you've got to have the equipment reliable. And that is not that simple, because, of course, you're talking about Wi-Fi. We live in a modern world of ages of interference, everything from your wireless speaker right through to the Bluetooth on your Discord headset that you might have in, or your earphones. All those things can interfere with each other at the most inconvenient time, usually at the steepest part of a climb, I've always found. It's not my legs falling off, I promise.
And I have known a racer to puncture on an esports platform as well. So
indeed, but they did come back and finish the race by fixing the puncture and then continuing onwards. It is possible.
So anything can happen.
It is, but it does show you it is just so much like you would find out on the road or on the track. And mechanical and technical issues can affect your racing, and trying to make sure that that is absolutely done is part of the sport. Just like having a slip or a slide in cyclocross, or getting down without hitting a tree in mountain biking is, as it is not puncturing on the way through. It's exactly the same. Not getting a drop out, not losing your internet, keeping that connection stable between your turbo trainer, your power meter, your recording. All those things are key. And of course, that's part of why the verification process exists and why you have to do 2 verified rides to get into the finals. Now, in the racing, category 4, on the steepest sections of the climb, it's going to top 17%. They're just about to come up towards the crest of the climb fairly shortly. Category 3 are chasing. They are just about hitting the base of that climb. Category 2 behind them are top right-hand side of your screen. They're at about what is 2K behind. And then category 1 leaders. Well, the category 1 leaders at the moment just topping 5.5 kilometres. So the road stretched out over about 6 kilometres of course. The lead riders in category 4 fighting with that steep climb. But category 2, as we said, very aggressive, Emma.
Yeah, it is indeed, as Angie Parra just put on a little dig going over the top there onto this descent before the main part of the climb that comes up. So they haven't yet reached Mount Pleasant, but there is still some rolling roads and a short little kicker before this descent into Mount Pleasant. So Parra just using that little bit of gradient and that roll over the top to put a little kick in. She stretched this group, as you can see, that top, I love that top right-hand corner screen. Really, really useful for seeing how across the road or lengthened along the road the group is. And Parra had used that little section to stretch the group, but the group all coming back together again now on this descent and in fact snowballing over the top of Parra. But a strong group, and someone here is going to have to be very, very brave to go down the road from this group, because they will continue to kick and they will continue to work and they will work well together as a group, I think.
And if you are going to go down the road, it is those climbing points, the very crest of the climb, that is key. Because in terms of this course, only the section that starts us off, that start-finish climb, is the one with a gradual transition from what is an ascent to a descent. All the rest are knife edge climb and descent. And if you have a gap, as we see Jasper Nicola Lustri has got, and you go over the top of a climb section, once you go over the top, you can accelerate up and really break that draft and really get in front and make everybody behind work. Now, if you take a look at behind, Lorenzo Ribaldo was nowhere in sight of Illustri. But what will happen is the chasers will come piling it down into this descent, and they are going to have to continue to push, but they will be able to see Illustri up in front. And you can see it's Barker who's done the damage there. Barker, who is on the chase, but the distance between Barker and Illustri is not as great because the gap opened up and it spread out on the course as they went over the top. But this is going to be really interesting. They are going to come back together and they will be able to see up the road Illustri, who is currently sitting at about 30 seconds. Now that they're both on the same section of climb, 30 seconds up the road.
It's 30 seconds, but it's only 100 meters, Matt, and they will have her in their sights. And it's always more motivating if you can see the rider up the road. Look, they're sweeping back. We can just see that pack of Category 3 riders in the dip and starting on that climb. The Illustra is further up, as we can see, as the gradient underneath her wheels kicks over 12%.
Indeed, and it goes steep, it eases, and it goes steep again at the top. This second section of climb actually isn't just one gradient, and that is tough stuff. Meanwhile, coming into the climb comes Category 2, chasing behind. So Category 4 over the top, Category 3 in the midst of the climb, Category 2 coming into the climb at the base of the climb. You can see that gradient top right hand side of your screen. It is yo-yoing around that 3%, but soon it will ramp right up. The first part of this climb is steep, the second section even steeper still.
Yeah, so we are in with Montoya pretty much mid-pack here as this group of Category 2 women push on now as the gradient starts to kick. In fact, just around the bend on the right-hand top of the screen, you can see the other categories further up that climb for these Category 2 women to catch. But we've got Reynard in here, we've got Hermassen in here, we've got Sanchez in here, we've got Tejero in here. You know, these riders are riding strongly as Lanteri just stretches her legs on the front there. They are only about 15 seconds behind the Category 3 and Category 4 riders up the road on this climb.
Well, this is where things get a little bit more confusing for the riders, because this is where they've got to be very aware of who is around them, of who is going to likely go on the attack as you come into these sections. Because not only are we on a climb where you'd expect to see people like Ginelli, Padani, and Olsen excel, you're also on a climb where there are other riders, and you can see this group. They are still acting as a bunch. They are shedding the odd rider out of the back, but Antico is right in that mix, moves up. Berio Serna on the way through. Berio Serna, actually, when we were on last week's qualifier, when it came to the segment on the climbing part of the course, her time up the climb was absolutely, on the climbing section, was super quick. She was inside the top 10 fastest riders overall up the climb, not just Category 2, and it shows you just how strong she is on the climb. Carmona also strong on the climb. And in terms of our Category 2 riders, Olsen, Padani, Cinelli really are riders to watch out for. Osario, if she can make it into the mix. But they are being chased by the Category 1 riders on the left of your screen, who are still to hit the base of the climb. Whereas the leaders in Category 2, well, they are looking to chase down 3 and 4. And I'll tell you something, they are moving quickly.
Yeah, but 1.9 kilometres, Matt, now between the front of this Category 1 race and the front of the Category 2 race. So this climb will foreshorten that once these, and we may see that go out again once these Category 1 riders hit that climb. They are not far off now, around 400 metres till they hit the base of that climb.
Well, we're just taking a look in with Lanteri on the right, Julie Sanchez on the left. You can compare heart rates between the two riders. You can compare the revs that they're putting out. But what is dramatically different, big red numbers, 17+% we've just been hitting for Lanteri. We're on less than 2% for Sanchez. So those speeds are radically different. 11K for Lanteri, 33K for Sanchez. And that is purely down to that terrain as we see riders continue to push. And at the moment, it's Nolan Kekkonen who's got a little bit of a gap on Chinelli. So really interesting to see Kekkonen on the attack here. I think it was back in March, if not April of last year, where we saw Kekkonen put in an amazing ride and went clear of the rest of the riders. She was only caught at the very end of the race by Category 1 riders. Very, very strong and good on the climb. So be interested to see how she goes on this climb. We know Chinelli can climb hard. And Reynard, LD Reynard, another rider who has consistently improved time and time again.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? And what's really interesting is different courses suit different riders, and we see that. We see some riders absolutely excel when they need to sit in the pack and when they can stay in the pack until the end of the race and then hit the climb at the end. Masters of the draft, masters of saving energy until they need to put it down. Others are really attacking riders and really got fabulous power over a short time. So over 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. And that's a very different type of rider. And the different courses suit different strengths, but also different tactics come into play. And that's, I think, particularly evident when we see our team competition in the finals.
Well, we will find out as we go through, because those team positions will become a little bit clearer as we make our way out and around and we start to see these groups whittle down. Now, we've got our Category 1 on the left, but on the right-hand side here, this is the lead of Category number 4. Ella Vink, Georgina Hyde, Luisa Fernanda at the moment. 3 riders on your screen, and I think that's a substantial gap. And we're looking forward to seeing a little bit more of Category 4. I think with this change in format, it does allow us to focus on the other categories a little bit more on the way through. So Fernanda, Vink, and Hyde with a 16-second gap at the moment, and that is going to be on one chasing rider. However, behind that one chasing rider, which is Anneli, it's Christina Daggio, who is at 150 and then 225. So they've broken them into 1s and 2s behind, but it's Vink, Fernanda, and Hyde who are doing that damage.
And what just happened to Hyde there coming round that corner? Got caught napping completely as Vink and Fernanda pushed on around that corner. Hyde got caught out there, now back on Fernanda's wheel with Vink slightly down the road. But this is a really interesting 1, 2, 3 so far in this race.
I've got an idea. I know exactly what happened because I've done it myself. You come around that left-hand turn in Wollongong and it kicks on the corner and it goes from about 3% to 12%. Now, if you are not quite in the right gear, you have an absolute horrible choice to make to push over in a monstrously big gear or to lose time taking some pressure off to change down through the gears. And it's the difference between being in the big chainring and the little chainring often on the bike when you go up there. So if you're on a conventional bike with a direct drive turbo train rather than a dedicated Wahoo bike or a Watt bike or something along those lines, what you will find is that you have to change the chainring down. That means you've got to ease the pressure off to get around that corner. And that is enough. That's about the time loss that we saw there from Georgina Hyde. So that would be my guess. Not quite prejudging the gears because it's the first time on this course today that we've gone around that turn.
Okay, so I'm taking a look at our screen at the moment. We're in with this group of leading Category 2 riders, but they are very, very shortly, I think, about to make the catch onto the back of that Category 3 race up ahead. They are about 100 metres behind the back of Category 3. We've got Giuliano and Jose Zabala off the back of the Category 3 group further up the road. And this group of Category 2 riders are about to come round and see those riders in the distance and make that catch.
So here we go. Kekkonen, Reynard, Chinelli really pushing on the front. Lanteri in that group as well. And you can just see the view on the right-hand side there. That's the view back from Maria Jose Zabala. A great rider in Category 3. About to see the chase come. Kekkonen continues to push on, putting out some big numbers there as she came up and around to make sure that she didn't lose contact. But I'll tell you something, that is one quick express train that is coming up. I think Zabala's going to find this like being stood on a platform as the train comes through.
Yeah, and take a look at that as those Category 2 riders go past our trailing Category 3 riders. Giuliano, they're now about to have exactly the same happen to her. But then we've got quite some distance down the road to the rest of our Category 3 riders. These Category 2 riders, led by Kekkonen, have got about 1.1 kilometres till the next pack in front of them.
And if you are going to get caught, this is where you want it to happen. You can see what our Category 3 riders have done. They've jumped in. Now, if you're going to get caught, you want to be caught on a downhill or a flat section where you've got quite a lot of downhill or flat to take advantage of the draft, and where the category riders who are in maybe Category 1 if you're 2, or 2 if you're 3, don't have as much advantage, because you can then jump in. Now, just taking a little bit of a look across, this is the start of the long downhill here, and Jojo Bauer is not on the wheels going over the top, which means she's going to have to work here to get in with that pack. It has split. We've got 3 distinct groups out on the course at the moment. We've got the duo you're watching, and we've got a group of about 4 or 5, and then another 4 or 5 in front of them. And this is dangerous, dangerous tactics by Bauer. We know that Jojo Bauer and Maria Marin have power and pace, but 2 riders against maybe 8 or 9 up the road, that is not good odds.
No, it isn't indeed. And look at this, it's been fractured. And where it fractured on this climb or on this descent or on the transition over the top, we've now got a lead group followed by a chasing pack, followed by 2 riders. Bauer and Marin, 2 really class riders, have missed the boat here, as it looks as though we're going to see Group 1 and Group 2 come together. Can those 2 off the back make the catch as well?
Well, this is where you would need to be aware and pushing onwards of what's going on around you, because this is a chance to distance Bauer. Jojo Bauer, repeat winner. I mean, repeat winner.
Yeah.
She is a regular top finisher, and just because not quite on that wheel going over the top, that is dangerous times for Bauer, who is off the back of the group. Now we've got to see what happens as they push on. You can just see Arias continuing to push on the front. Ortiz, Estrada, Kimona, Rocchio in there as well. And watch what happens as we go along. They are going to be continuing to keep that pace really hot here to just keep the rest of the riders off their wheels.
Well, I think Bauer and Marin have just made the catch, if I can read that top screen properly. But it is really important. We've got that Category 2 rider who is just sat in now, taking the draft off the group who have come past her, as we flip back down. And indeed, Bauer has indeed made that juncture.
Well, she's made the juncture, but look who else is in this mix as well. Category 2 riders jumping in with the group at the right time, being caught on that run down and on the flatter sections. This means to get the maximum time to try and stay in the draft before gravity starts taking effect. But the leaders in Category 2 on the right-hand side of your screen, currently at 16 kilometers, 14 and a half at the moment for the leaders in Category 1.
Yeah, 1.5 kilometres difference then between the front of the Category 1 field and this front of the Category 2 field. We're looking at Kekkonen leading them out with Sinelli and Lantari. Reynard's in there as well with Sanchez. These are the women we expected to see at the front of the Category 2 race. Pandani is in there as well, and that group is rolling at a really good, strong pace. They're on that transition section. It is indeed 13.9 kilometres from the top of Mount Pleasant the first time to the bottom of Mount Pleasant the second time, and that is the transition area that our riders are now finding themselves in.
So here on the Sunday Race Club, 4 categories underway. Category 4 currently the furthest down the course. Then a Category 3, then 2, then 1. But the gaps between each group is diminishing. 1K separates Category 4 from 3. It's about 1K from 3 to 2. And guess what? It's about 1K from 2 to 1. Maybe 1.5K if you were being generous. But it's going to come down, I think. And at the moment, I think the rides that are being done by all of our race leaders is making this catch be a little bit later on in the race each time, and that is going to make a difference, because it should bring it to a crescendo nicely as we come into the finish. 15.5K of 35K done. Remember, we are only a couple of kilometers off the halfway mark.
For these category 1 riders,
Yep.
indeed. Our category 4 riders further down the road are over halfway now, and this race is really starting to hot up, and I think we're going to see some great action in the latter stages of this race today.
So here on MyWhoosh, we're in our December finals. Don't forget, of course, you can catch up with all of the results on mywhoosh.com/results. You can catch up with all of the social media on the Instagram and on Facebook. That's MyWhoosh, my_whoosh on Twitter. Don't forget to get in touch with us. It's at Biking Emma and at Matt Fix the Pain, and of course at Full Speed Events, to tell us just how you plan on winning your race when you jump in and join us. And you can find all the details on the mywhoosh.com website.
Yeah, and if you do want to join us on the Sunday Race Club, next Sunday is the first race of the new year of 2023. It would be a fantastic opportunity to join the race field. If you are interested in doing so, head over to mywhoosh.com. Take a look at the website. Download the platform. If you haven't, you can download the app and you can start riding. Sign up for the events. There's an event sign up page on the website. There are documents on there that will tell you everything you need to know. Everything from the technical guide to the rule set to a list of frequently asked questions. Ensure that you have everything you need to join us on the next Sunday Race Club.
So here on the Race Club, our Category 1 riders just coming past the pens that they set off from some 27 minutes or so ago, and heading out and around once more. Going to complete this transition from the start to the finish line. Then they will have one lap left to go at that point. This is the overlapping section. And in fact, the overlapping section is the only flat section that they cover 3 times today, whereas the rest of the course, basically they cover twice today. That doesn't make it in the slightest bit easy, though, because that just means they're just going to go quicker.
Yeah, and they are indeed going quicker at the moment. This is still quite a large bunch at the front of this Category 1 race today. We are in with Bauer, who did indeed win the November finals on this course by 3 seconds from Oliveri and Brogan. Garoni and Gilson were 10 and 21 seconds behind. So it was indeed a close race with 5 riders going over the finish line with around 20 seconds between them.
Well, just to ride it in with Alain Tejeros, who is just ahead of that Category 2 group of leaders. She's just broken clear here and has gone over the top. She's going to hit the line with one lap left to go at the line. The gantry is just in front of her, but you can see everybody chasing down Montoya, Kokoden, Lanteri, the riders who really seem eager to be on the wheels of Tejeros. And Annalyn Tejeros, definitely not a rider to let go up the road at this stage. But these riders are not all that far ahead of Category 1, who are chasing them as they go underneath the gantry. They have now one full lap. They know when they come underneath that gantry next time, it will be job done and time to spin those legs out and try to get rid of all the lactic acid that's built up in that final sprint.
Yeah, so 2 big groups still at the front of both our Category 1 and Category 2 race field. These have not been whittled down by our first ascent of the Category 4 climb today, Mount Pleasant, here on the Australian Wollongong route. We go back up that Category 4 climb over the top and down the other side on the run into the finish. So one more ascent of that climb to try and break these groups in both this Category 1 and this Category 2 race today.
So you can see on your screen the map. We've basically headed out from our blue play symbol over the straight section up the first little kicker, over the bumpy section that took you into climb for the first time. We dropped off the far side, gone through the start line once again. We have just completed the flat section just to the right of the green rider. We're going to come up into the climbing section, that bumpy section. We've got one more big climb, then it's the drop down back to the start line, and then that run into the finishing checkered flag. Going to be very interesting to see how this pans out, because it does promote a late attack on that final ascent of Mount Pleasant. because if you do that and you get enough distance, you could hold it to the finish.
You can. It is 6.2 kilometres to the finish from the top of that last Category 4 Mount Pleasant climb. But it is about utilising the momentum on the over the top of the climb to drop down and establish that lead that's really important. So it's highly likely we wouldn't see an attack on Mount Pleasant until we got to the latter stages of the top of that climb.
It's how much time can you put in as fast as possible in as short a distance and with still leaving some energy to expend once you've done the descent. Very, very difficult to get right unless you have got the best day and best form going. Now, just seeing Olivieri just having an issue there, just popping out of the back of that group, but the Budge continuing to push onwards here. Jarioni, interestingly, right up and attentive around our leading riders. Bauer once again looking strong on the front, but they have got Category 2 riders mixed in here who are maybe just making the most of having the fast bunch come up on them to try and get as close back to the lead as possible.
Yeah, likewise, we've just seen one of our Category 3 riders make the use of the draft there on the back of that group. And that group is currently travelling just shy of 40 kph, so it's moving really well. And when overtaking that Category 2 and Category 3 rider, the ability to sit in that draft and just make use of it, even if just for a short period of time, is really, really good.
Well, our Category 3 riders push on, Category 4 push on, but on your screens are 1 and 2 left to right, and the second category riders chasing Annalyn Tajeros again. Tajeros keeps on going on the attack, getting a little bit of a gap, getting closed down, currently at 3 seconds, and this is a nasty little kicker. Having ridden up this on MyWhoosh, you can come out and ride this route whenever you want. You can come out and get some practice, and you can go out and ride around it with your mates and chat all the way around that you need to. But Jeros, no chatting from her. It's all action today. She continues to push on, being chased by Elenia Chinelli, another of our regular riders on the Sunday Race Club. She's got a little bit of a gap just going across to Tajeros at the moment, but Sanchez, Kekkonen, Lanteri, Reynard are all very attentive and all trying to respond to this move.
Yeah, they are indeed, because they don't want to let her go. The Category 1 riders are less than a kilometre behind these Category 2 leaders, and it is fast and furious here as we are trying to see attack after attack on this short climbing section here. Chinelli just going over the top there to Jeris and Sanchez, Reynard and Montoya a few seconds back now, and it's starting to hot up on the front of this Category 2 race.
Well, it's going to be interesting, isn't it? Because the distance is coming down. It's about 600 meters separated our Category 1 leaders and our Category 2 leaders at the moment. And where they come together is going to be critical for not just the Category 1 riders, but the Category 2 riders as well. Because the closer we get to the climb, the less distance they have, that they can make the most of any draft advantage of being caught by a big group.
Yeah, it is indeed, as these 4 riders now start to take that climb as a little bit further back down the road. We're in with Maria Ortez and this group of Category 1 riders. We've got a Category 2 green jersey in there as they just overtake one of our Category 3 riders. We've got riders now all over this racecourse, Matt.
We have indeed. They are spread out all the way out and around the route. Let's see who's going to take this out. We are well and truly into the last half of the race. 23.25 kilometers covered by Category 4, 22k covered by Category 3, 21.75 for Category 2, and 21.17. I am going to predict that we're going to see Categories 1, 2, and 3 leaders come all together before the base of the climb. But Category 4, I think, are in danger potentially of hitting the base of the climb before we see the riders catch them.
Well, so 23.48k is the front of the Category 4 race. 26.4 is the base of the climb. You might be right, Matt. Hyde, Vink and Fernanda have really put the power down and really tried to push away and ride clear of the rest of the Category 4 riders, and they've achieved that. Around 1 minute 15 gap now for these three riders clear of the rest of that Category 4 race field. Hyde, Fernanda and Vink look to be as though it is going to be between them for the 1, 2, 3 in that Category 4 race.
It does, but they are pushing hard here, and will they get carried away in the fact that they could well, if they can hold the gap to the top of the climb, they would have a little bit of a chance to stay clear of all the rest of the categories into the finish, and that would be a great scalp. Yes, it's a handicap race, but remember, these are riders. A lot of them are starting out in their riding careers. You've got riders going to come back from injury and illness. You've got riders at lots of different levels of performance, and that's a great thing. Everyone's racing for their prizes. Vink, Fernanda, and Hyde know at the moment they've got a minute between them and the riders who are fighting out for the 4th and 5th prizes in their category.
They have indeed, and they've got about 2k distance between the front of that Category 1 race field and themselves at the moment, and doing a fantastic job of staying out in the lead on the road today.
Well, we're just in with Lenia Cinelli, Lantari, Sanchez, Kekkonen, right up in the mix here. You've got Parapardini. I mean, it really is a who's who as they close down on our next group of riders here. So they are coming up, and I think this could well be the catch being made into what is the biggest group of Category 3 riders, because there are not many big groups left on the road.
No, and Illustra was down the road, wasn't she, from this Category 3 group? This was the chase group for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th in the Category 3 race. And look at that, Matt. A number of them now are trying to work out how they tag onto the back of that Category 2 group, and how they draft in there for as long as possible. You can see those numbers turning green, so the watts have turned green, indicating that they are in the draft and they are indeed benefiting from it. So some smart riding from that Category 3 group, but can this Category 2 group take them down the road to Illustra, who was down the road and off of that attack?
Well, it's going to be really interesting. I mean, it's a good tactic to play if you want a lift up the road. Ease back off, but you've got to be confident you can sit in there, because it's the old thing. Once you give time away, it's gone. And then you've got, making that back is very, very difficult indeed. To look at this, Jaros again. If you had to put money on the most aggressive rider, would it be Jaros, who's constantly attacking at the moment in her category, or will it be somebody like Guido? I mean, who would you put your money on? Because it really is aggressive racing today again.
And I also think it's going to come down to that final climb today. I think that's going to be absolutely instrumental. But what I have noticed is Lisa Hermassen has not moved from that Category 1 bunch. That Category 2 rider, Hermassen, jumped into that bunch when this Category 1 rider Category 1 group came past her, and she is getting the toe of her life back to this lead Category 1 group. And you know what? They are not far off the back of this group. The gap is coming down, and Hermassen is going to join back to the lead group in this Category 2 race.
And that is going to be very sad. I mean, the whole way these guys are riding is so smart. And I'm loving the fact that everybody is now dealing with not just a straight scratch race, but you've got the distances between to start off with being quite substantial. And it means for that overall race, when you can't take it easy, no matter what category, there's no guarantees that our Category 1 riders can catch everybody. It is that straightforward.
Well, our Category 1 riders are now 500 metres behind Tijeros, which is the lead of this Category 2 race. She's got company from some Category 1 riders. In fact, Ribaldo is with her at the moment, who I would say is possibly the lead. I think she is the lead in that Category 3 race. So working really hard as we see Bauer push a little bit, just testing the legs on the front of this Category 1 race today. Riders down the road a little, but not that far down. I think the next catch they're going to make is to a Category 4 rider, Maria Jose Gallego. They're just literally going to come around this bend, and there she goes, straight past our Category 4 rider on the road.
Well, here we go. We are approaching the 10K to go marker. Remember, 35 kilometers in total. 25K about to be hit by these races, 24.5 at the moment. and they are motoring. They are trying to close all those riders down. They will want the lead overall, as well as taking away top spot in their category. The question will be, can they do it? Meanwhile, Georgina Hyde, Louisa Fernanda, and Ella Vink on the right-hand side of your screen in the red are your leaders on the road. They are at 26.3K, so they are pushing, and the aim for them surely is going to be to get past the top of the climb in the lead. If they could do that, they put themselves in a prime position to take away top spot, because I can't imagine that any other Category 3 rider will have managed to stay ahead of this bunch as they go up and over the top.
So we are in on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club December final with our Category 1 lead group, as we jump to see our Category 2 group overtaking the Category 3 lead group, mixing it together on the road at the moment, 25.55 kilometres into a 35-kilometre race. They are shortly about at 26.4K to come onto the final ascent of Mount Pleasant, the Category 4 climb in Wollongong City.
So this is a real mixed group, because we've got in here Category 3 and Category 2 riders who all have that mission to work as well as they can on the push. They're on the right-hand side of your screen. Left-hand side, the chasing group of hounds behind it, chasing the pack. It is the riders who are in Category 1, and you can see it's a real star-studded mix on the left-hand side of your screen in Category 1, chasing the riders in Category 2 and 3, who are on the right-hand side of your screen. And then, of course, up the road, we still have five riders from category number 4, who still are holding the overall race lead at the moment. But with this climb being as brutal as it is, surely their days are numbered.
Well, that was only around 150 metres between that Category 1 and Category 2 group, Matt. So really interesting as we jump into the lead rider on the road. So now on the final climb, the final ascent of the day of this Category 4 climb, Fernanda has pushed on from Hyde and Vink in this Category 4 race. Fernanda now with a gap of around 20 seconds. She's pushed on as soon as she's hit the base of this climb, and it's really working for her at the moment.
Yeah, going to be really interesting to watch this. Now, here comes Category 1. The express train is on its way. Is it going to be like the Japanese bullet train coming through? This is going to be quick. Look at the power they're putting down. We've seen nearly 400 watts coming out as they continue to push. And look at this, they're now starting to sweep past Barker. Cabanetta is going to see them go past. Daggio is going to see them go. Sirocco is going to be in here as well. And you can just see this group of Category 1 riders are having to pay attention as they go through this mix of riders on the first stage of the final climb.
Yeah, they came in hot, Matt, and they are having to push hard, because not only have they got this Category 2 group to go past, they've had to go past the Category 3 group as well. It's a lot of overtaking, and to keep your wits about you to make sure you are in the right group at the right time and staying with the riders who are in your competition, absolutely essential. They've overtaken the Category 3 riders now. The Category 2 riders, they are just coming onto here. As they push and they push, they are moving up through this field. We are about to go over the top and take the descent before the main section of this climb.
So this climb with the starters just about done. We're going to dip down, take a little bit of a pause, then we'll be on to the main course, main part of this, with the little bit of desserts, the last little climb to the finish. But look at how fast the riders start rocketing up in pace. We're talking 70 kph at the moment, plus for these riders on the descent down. We're riding in with Gemma Brogan at the moment. She's going to get passed by a fast-moving bunch, and that is the risk if you go solo over the top with a big group behind the group that's got so much pace and momentum. You've got to be very alert to that as you go on to the main section. Now sweeping past our Category 2 riders here. Sanchez in here. Looks like this is going to be the scramble to stay in the wheels. If any of our Category 2 riders can stay with our Category 1 riders over the top, they are going to be in a prime spot to take away their prizes. But look at the right-hand side of your screen. This is Louisa, Fernanda, and looking back, we've got Fernanda and Vink, the only riders clear of Category 1. Such is the speed of them coming up onto this climb.
I know, as Fernanda is pushing on, she's held out for 27.7k of this race. An outstanding effort from Fernanda as the Category 1 riders come past and take a little look over their shoulder and say, thanks very much. It's been great to have you out front for us to chase, but we've got you now. Up they go. They continue to take this left-hand sweeping bend as the gradient comes towards 15%.
And 2 riders at least from Category 2, if not maybe 4 riders are up there. Got Padani to Jerus. I think I've seen Reynard in that mix as well. This is really interesting because they are staying in that group. And I've got to agree with you, Emma. The riders from Category 4 today, amazing job staying out that long. But now the 3 leaders have got to decide what they're going to do, because they were separated about 10 seconds, separating first, second, and third in each gap in Category 4. Meanwhile, Category 1, well, it's the front of the race full stop, with Ortiz leading from Dorocchio. You've got Dega Mashandi in the mix, Carmona, Brogan, Bauer, Menendez. This really is a who's who of the front of our races.
It is indeed, but I'm looking back a little bit further back and I see Karub Quevedo has been distanced a little bit just off the back there, 3 seconds back now. Other riders who we might expect to see staying on there just getting distance, and the stretch is happening now. But I think we might see these 2 groups, as you can see on the top right-hand side of your screen, whether they will come back together or whether they will stay apart. There we go. We've got Reynard just coming off the back. To Jerus has already gone. You can start to see where we are at. Pardini is in trouble. Reynard is there as well. Lantari has gone. So these races in this Category 2 race is now really anybody's here who can hang on to the top of this climb.
And remember, we're going to go right over the top. We're nearly there. And then we drop. And then there's a little bit of a kicker where you've got a last chance saloon to grab in to the coattails of the bunch. But very, very difficult to do, as we see Olivieri continuing to push. She's down in 23rd place. She's trying to get hold of Valdez. She's on a bit of a comeback here after having issues earlier on. She's gone around the Category 3 and the Category 4 leaders, but she's got first and second category riders in front. So that's going to be a real battle between them. But the very front of the race now, this is about who can go over the top of the climb with that lead group. Get distanced, you are going to be in big trouble. And I think Jerus, Reynard and co are in trouble because they're not on this pack. So Menendez is in here, Jarioni is in here. Looks like Laura back in this group. The very front, though, it is Category 1 leading down here as they continue to push. But they've got Category 2 riders with them. And I'll tell you something, I'll be feeling pretty smug if I was a Category 2 rider in there. Well, yes, if I had any energy left whatsoever.
But look who it is. It's Cerna and Sanchez. They are the 2 that you could have put money on, could have stayed with this group on this climb and really pushed hard. They paid attention, and Sinelli is in there as well. And I tell you, we've seen amazing climbing attacks from Sinelli in the past before in Category 2, only to be pipped on the line by a fast chasing pack behind. So 3 riders in this group. Kekkonen and Pardini are about 7 seconds back, but this group is motoring well. Around 16 riders in this lead group, mainly Category 1, but a couple of Category 2 riders in there as well.
Well, you can just see Padani in front of Kekkonen here. So Kekkonen and Padani, if they do not work together, they will not make this back. There are just too many riders in front. And even if they were to put in a full-on Marianne Vos sprint, they're not going to get on the back wheel of a fast-moving group on this descent on their own. They need help. People like Reynard and Tajeros, they are fighting in the same category. They don't want them to come back together again, but maybe taking on board our first category rider immediately behind, that might be what they need to give them that little bit of extra firepower to pull up through the ranks. But remember, 5 prizes in each category for our individual riders, 5 prizes in the team category as well in each of our categories. And that means that these riders, even if they are not in the fight for an individual prize, it's quite likely they're going to be in the fight for the team prizes. So every position counts. You can't sit up and let 2 or 3 riders go past. That could be the difference between winning first or third or fifth place or not getting anything in that team competition. It is so close in the team prizes, particularly as you move across all of our categories.
It is indeed, but watching Pardini here putting in an outstanding effort trying to get back on this group, but even though she's working really hard, the time gap is not coming down. It was at 11 seconds. It's coming down slightly. It's down to 6, but she's having to put in such an effort to try and make this catch because she's one rider on her own on a descent with trying to catch a group of 16. Now, it is a really, really hard task. And arguably, if Pardini does make the juncture and does make the catch, she is going to be one tired rider with very tired legs from all of that work.
Well, she has to do about 50% more work than the rider sitting at the back of the group. Such is the way that aerodynamics and the laws of physics work. And she's having to put that effort in. She's having to work that hard. You can see the heart rate is steadily sitting around about 175, 176, which means that she is putting in an effort that she knows she can maintain. She can see that group, and this is going to be a battle. The heart rate now at 177. At some point, that heart rate will not go up anymore, and she will not continue to make ground, but this is getting close. Come on, Veronica. Come on, this is it. You've got this last kick. You just need a push now. It's a final sprint. They're going to come onto the climb, though. They are now into the spiral climb, and this is where the group will compress. She's got a chance to hit the back of the group, but will the front accelerate over the top? You can see Badani just being edged out here as the group in front opened up the gap. She didn't quite make touch now, and this is where it's going to hurt because all of a sudden the group in front, they've ramped up the power, they've ramped up the speed, and Pardani, oh, just heartbreaking. She's got to do this all over again and try and make the catch on this last little kicker. She's revving at 97. She's at the heart rate of 179. Come on, Veronica, you can do this.
Yeah, so with less than 3 kilometres now to go on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club December final, we are watching a lead group of 16 riders being chased by rider in 17th place, Pardani from the Category 2 race. She's adamant she's going to make the juncture, and she's been working so hard for the last 2 minutes to close the gap, but her heart rate is fluctuating around 180, which is really pushing her limit as she still tries to sprint again to get onto the back of that group. But can she make it? And if she does make it, has she got anything left for the finish?
Well, I think she's going to do this. She's absolutely flying. She's doing double the workload that the guys, never mind half as much again. She's doing double the workload. She's got to get there, and then she's got to rest. Then she's got to know that we are coming in towards the finish. And look at this. This is what it means to our riders. This is what it means to be in the battle, in the finals of the Sunday Race Club. She's going to latch on here, but the group is now winding up for the finish. Oh, it's killer. You can see the gap. Look at it. It's coming down. It's 4 bike lengths now. It's 3. It's 2. It's what she's got on the back. Can she rest enough in time? We're on the only flat section of the course. Now is the time to take a break. But she's put herself in with the chance of a Category 2 win, which she would not have had if she was not in this group.
No, and there was the main effort of the race today for her to get onto the back of that group. She needs to take a huge breath now and try and recover as much as possible. But the road is running out, and we're running out of time as we've got like 1.7 kilometres left to go of this race today.
So your leading group, it comprises of Category 1 and 2 leaders as they come down together. They have gone past the pens where they started. They are on the flat section that will lead them into the left and right-hand turn to the final climb. They have the final climb, which is short, it is steep, but then when they do that, the finish is immediately around that left turn. It is so close that if you get your timing wrong, you will be in trouble. So this is where it benefits to have raced and ridden on this course and know it inside out.
So as we are coming into the final stages of this women's race today, we have got Illustra leading in the race, the category 3 race. We've got Vink leading in the category 4 race. We've got Pardini in there in category 2. And the front of the race, we've got seeing an attack go off the front of the category 1 race. As we're seeing that take place, as we're going round that sweeping left-hand bend, and someone's gone off the front of that group as the rest of the group moves forward. It's Bauer surprising. Who surprises Jojo? Bauer has put a dig in. She's put a dig in, and there's 800 meters to go. She's got a chase group behind her, 15 riders, but Bauer is pushing on. Can Bauer take this to the line?
Well, look at the group come behind. Carmona and Ortiz are charging. Bauer kicked early. She's going to need to have a second win. She's going to need to have something left in the tank, because this group is going to roll over the top. And if Bauer cannot respond, she's going to get rolled out the back. She's trying to get back on. This is the kick for the finish. This will come down to a sprint. It is looking really, really tight here. Who's going to take this out?
So we've got a large group of women coming into the sprint here. We have got 350 meters to go. Ortiz is in there, Gaviria's in there, Bauer's in there, Marin's in there, Menzies is in there, Garioni is in there. They're taking this left-hand bend now. They will see the Finnish gantry in front of them. The Finnish gantry is coming, and Marin's kicking. Carmona's going. Brogan's there. Ortiz is there. Manshandi is there. This group are coming fast and furious.
Who's going to take it for the win? This is a sprint. Is it going to be a category 2 runner who can take it? It's a massive kick. Maria Marin, I think, is going to go through with Ortiz and Carmona in category 1. It's going to go to Ortiz by a fraction of a second. I think it's 0.3 of a second, separating them at the line. We're going to get that confirmed. Ortiz, Marin, Carmona, and Brogan. And then it is going to come down to that category 2 race. What a final. Let's get some results for you. So, overall, what a finish. Ortiz, Marin, Carmona, Brogan, Manshandi, Menezes, Moreno, Rocchio, Bauer, Estrada, Gaviria, and Cavedo. They were your riders going through in category 1. In category 2, it is Cinelli from Berrio, Cerdes, followed by Sanchez, and then Pardani coming in over the line, just separated, not unable to stay with those riders at that point in time. So strong, though, and amazing to see. Goes through in the top 17 overall. What a race by our riders. What a finish. That's category 1 and category 2 on the way through. In terms of team prizes, well, we said tomorrow's cycling would be difficult to beat. You know what, Emma? You were dead right. They have taken the team win in category 1 from the Cranks. This is going to be very, very tight in those rest of those team standings. So make sure you jump onto MyWhoosh.com to get those results. But congratulations to our winner overall, and our winner in category 1. It is Ortiz taking the win.
It is indeed. And thank you, everyone, for watching today. It has been an absolutely outstanding December final on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. Join us next week. We start it all over again with Qualifier 1 for January.
And don't forget, make sure you give MyWhoosh a follow, as well as subscribing to the YouTube channel. You can catch up with Emma and myself online on social media at Biking Emma, at Mount Fix a Pain. Don't forget, of course, it is, of course, at Full Speed Events. You want to catch up with both of us simultaneously. And don't forget, all the team at MyWhoosh are working hard to keep you riding all the way through the week. So make sure you get on. Come and join us on a ride on MyWhoosh. From myself, Matt Payne, from Emma Martin, and all of the amazing team based at MyWhoosh. Thank you for watching. We will see you for our next qualifying race on the 1st of January.
Goodbye.